My husband is a great man of character, but he struggles with smoking weed. We both attend church, but I feel like this is a stronghold. What advice will you give me? Well, first things first. People cope with things how they cope with things because they lack hope in things. Hope leads to cope. Cope leads to dope. Dope leads to slope. So if a person has a false hope or an expectation that was unmet, or life is just challenging, and they're in a deep hopeful state or a deep despair state, they're going to cope. And most people have not been trained, and a lot of churches are not trained on how to help people cope with struggles, cope with trials, cope with tests, cope with persecution, cope with things not happening when they want it to happen. So when a person is not equipped with healthy and practical ways to cope through the nuances of life, they're going to go to dope. They're going to go to something to temporarily remove them from their hopelessness. So now you have to allow the Holy Spirit as his wife, your husband's wife, to begin to see the root reason of why he is using weed to cope. The way you interact with church, and typically this happens with women and men want to go to church for practical instruction. Women do too, but a lot of churches are tailored to women. It's very emotionalized. It's very boosting and vibrant and light, bright. It's very whatever. It tailors to the emotional aspects of women. And maybe you have to audit the church. Ask him, hey, are you getting what you need from this church? Is your church providing practical tools, iron sharpening iron accountability groups to help your husband? Do they talk about emotional wellness? Do they have resources and tools to help equip him to be able to not have to go to the weed to feel high? Because there ain't no most high. There ain't no high like the most high. And when you're full of joy and you're full of purpose and you're full of fulfillment, you don't need to have dope or weed. Honey buns fell off of me. Bojangles fell off of me. The more I begin to have my hope anchored in God. So maybe now, what I would do as his wife, I would advise you to do this. I would go to pray, and I want you to pray to God to say, reveal my heart, Lord, of any type of assumptions, any type of ways that you may be making him feel it like he's less than, any type of judgmentalness that you may be sending his way, to make sure your heart is right so that God can use you as his wife to be his support, to be his listening ear, now here comes the work. If you want this worked out of your marriage, you got to work it now in your marriage. You got to work now in your marriage. And now you have to really make sure that your heart is clean towards him in the situation, that he knows that you love him no matter if he smokes or don't smoke. That he knows that you support him in his ambitions and his endeavors, and to really begin to be a soft place by which you can hear his heart. And the Holy Spirit can use your mouth and your life to be able to encourage him and to be able to give him grace for this to be erased. Most people don't have the grace for a thing to be erased. They want to erase the erase, but you can't erase and erase because a lot of people are in certain things because of what happened to them when they were little. He has some things that he may have to unpack because smoking weed is just a symptom. Smoking weed is just a fruit. The root is what it really needs to be worked on. And that could be something that happened to him when he was 7 years old. It could have been something that happened to him when he was a kid. Or happened to him last week. Or maybe it could be you. Maybe you're the headache. I'm just being joking. But that's true. In a lot of situations I talk to men, it's the wife sometimes. That's why I said to make sure you check your heart. Now, if you're doing all those things, keep loving, keep giving grace, set boundaries, Like if you like, hey, the weed is affecting me, then at least until it's erased, say, hey, babe, lovingly, and just tell him, hey, babe, please don't smoke in the house. Can you smoke outside in the car? Because it's affecting me, right? And then stick with those boundaries, but pray, intercede, allow the Holy Spirit to give you revelation of what's causing this to be evident in his life, especially if it's an issue in your marriage. Hope to help. Hope that was some good advice for you.